Everyone. My name is Derek Bland with HJI Supply Chain Solutions, and on behalf of Greater Louisville, Inc. and the Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics Network, or the AML, I want to sincerely thank each of you for joining us. As we get started today, as a reminder, I do want to note that all participants have been muted during today's conversation. If you'd like to submit a question, as John has already mentioned, please use the chat feature, which is located at the bottom of your Zoom screens. We've saved, again, some time at the end of the presentation for Q&A, so please submit any questions throughout today's presentation. One of GLI's missions is to grow the regional economy, and a key strategy in this effort is operating and utilizing strong industry councils, such as the Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics Network. Collaboration with our region's industries and our community partners is imperative to attracting new investment and ensuring existing businesses can grow and thrive. As many of you as aware, Greater Louisville offers the manufacturing and logistics sector a variety of advantages and is an economic driver for the region. With over 1,300 companies, the manufacturing and logistics represents approximately 18% of employment within our regional economy, which totals over about 120,000 jobs. The Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics Network continues to support sustainable industry growth through knowledge sharing and collaboration, networking, and through advocacy. True to our mission, we're excited to have recently developed a service partnership with Advantage Kentucky Alliance to provide companies impacted by COVID-19 with direct access to no-cost service supports. We're thrilled to promote the service partnership to our members and to the region. To welcome today's presenter, I'd like to now introduce today's collective conversation sponsor, Jackie Morales. Jackie is Chief Marketing and Innovation Officer with the Morales Staffing Group. The Morales Group is a local staffing agency that's a model deliberately draws upon the unique spirit and ability of a globally diverse workforce and to enhance their clients' business agility and competitive edge in the marketplace. We thank the Morales Group for sponsoring today's event, and we're honored to have them join us here today. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to Jackie Morales. Jackie.
Thank you, Derek. And again, thank you. Oh, I have a little bit of feedback. There we go. My name is Jackie Morales, and I'm with Morales Group Staffing, and I just wanted to thank the Greater Louisville, Inc. and Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics Network for allowing us to partner today for the collective conversation. So just a quick bit about us, Morales Group Staffing. We are a nationally recognized, mission-driven group of people delivering a unique kind of staffing. We call it staffing with a purpose. We focus on the communities where we live and work, and with emphasis on partnerships with organizations that serve immigrants, refugees, and the underserved communities. We've placed over 170,000 teammates over the last 17 years in business, again, throughout the US in temporary, temp to perm, direct hire, and in an embedded solutions model where we utilize a cost per unit model. So thank you again. Advantage Kentucky Alliance is the Commonwealth's official representative of the Manufacturing Extension Partnership National Network, supported by the U.S. Department of Commerce, National Institute of Standards and Technology. The MEP National Network is a unique public-private partnership that delivers comprehensive, proven solutions to the U.S. manufacturers, fueling growth and advancing U.S. manufacturing. We're honored to have with us today Scott Broughton, Center Director for Advantage Kentucky Alliance. Scott is an innovative product development specialist with more than 30 years of B2B and B2C experience. He has experience taking hundreds of products and services from cradle to grave in the automotive, lighting, and environmental and safety products field. Scott's experience includes working hand in hand with entrepreneurs through Fortune 100 companies globally. He has a long history as an award-winning industrial designer with several patents. His work can be found in Ford, Chrysler, and General Motor automotives, as well as commercial, residential lighting products and environmental and safety products. Scott, thanks again for partnering with GLI, AML, and Morales Group Staffing. We're excited to have you join us today and to share more about the mission and service and the offerings of Advantage Kentucky Alliance. So the floor is yours now.
Thank you, Jackie. Really do appreciate the opportunity to speak with the group. As Jackie mentioned, I've been in industry for 30 plus years, and my background is just that, business development. So I cut my teeth in the automotive industry up in Michigan, worked on multiple different automotive platforms, cars, trucks, tanks, anything that had wheels or tracks. Something up in Michigan is something that I've interacted with. Been blessed to run the Advantage Kentucky Alliance for the past 8 years. And our mission is real simple: grow the economy through the manufacturing sector. So let me share my screen, if I could, please. So I'm hoping that everybody can see my logo, correct? Okay, so whoops, sorry again. So Advantage Kentucky Alliance, again, is our manufacturing extension partnership here in the state of Kentucky. Who we really truly are, we're a statewide, not-for-profit. We implement change, we implement assistance for many different partners. We're funded through the Department of Commerce. We actually are part of what we call the MEP National Network, the Manufacturing Extension Partnership here in the state of Kentucky. We are based out of Western Kentucky University down in Bowling Green, but those who know me, have interacted with me, know that my true headquarters is sitting out my parking lot right now. It's a Toyota Venza. So I cover the entire state, as my entire team does. We are 20 plus professional specialists that are out of industry who been there and done that. They're used to working with manufacturers in the manufacturing sector. They're used to being on the shop floor. They're used to actually working with quality and lean and all those kind of things that make everything grow and prosper. So, oops, let's try this again. Jumping around a little bit, I apologize about that. So our true power is just that, the partnerships itself. And I'm very blessed to be able to partner with Greater Local Inc. as well as American Manufacturing Logistics Network. Didn't want to get that name incorrect. But we have partners all across the state. We have a partnership with World Trade Center, with Exportech Programming, bringing exporting international trade. We have office space in various different universities. We being a university system itself, we have different programs coming through the university sectors. We have relationships with other economic developers such as SCED, Southeast Kentucky Economic Development in Eastern Kentucky, Triad, in the northern part of the state. Those who are familiar with CAM, the Kentucky Association of Manufacturing, Kentucky PTAC. Really, the power of the Advantage Kentucky Alliance is bringing these partnerships together that all have the same mission, and that is truly focused on growing the economy through the manufacturing sector. So we are very blessed to be able to be part of the GLI and the Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics Network team. We're looking forward to working with Metro Louisville and actually making a big difference. But truly, one of the things that I really wanted to stress is the national network itself. So the Manufacturing Extension Partnership is a national network that's made out of 51 centers across America. You can see that ours is the Advantage Kentucky Alliance, but there are, well, we're the largest consultancy in the world. We have partnerships with other universities through our other university partners, such as Purdue University. We have affiliates with Michigan and Iowa and Oregon, and Hawaii and Alaska. That wide berth of professionals and experts are at your disposal through our organization to help, well, bring you the resources needed to allow you to grow and prosper and make a difference. So the National Institute of Standards and Technology is our federal funder. They actually fund all centers. The way that the centers work is that we actually have third parties that NIST actually brings together and performs surveys. So those, there's many of you that are on the phone right now that are clients of ours, so you know, you've heard of this NIST survey. For us, that is direct results of impacts reported by our clients of about $27 million in new sales, about $51 million in retained sales, a little over 2,100 in jobs created or retained, 37 million in investment. These numbers are not numbers that I'm giving you. These numbers are reported to me by a third party who reported to the Department of Commerce, who reported it by our clients. These are real numbers. These are real numbers that are real tangible impacts that are, for us, the last 4 rolling quarters for the end of last year, 2019. So that's probably the biggest impacts that any of the federal agencies really tout, and that's the reason why many of them partner, such as the Kentucky PTAC, such as the SBA, such as many of those organizations, is because our reliance on the impacts we're having. At the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is there's impacts, tangible impacts, something you can sink your teeth into, not in theory, not in hope or want and desire, but truly something that made a difference at the end of the day, at the end of the workshop, end of the implementation of systems, end of whatever we're talking about. So how we get involved and how we actually have those impacts is through our programs and services. We have various different programs such as leadership development, continuous improvement, quality programs. There's business development, there's research. Really, because of the wide berth of professionals we bring to the table, there's many different programs we get involved in. And it starts off typically with workshops, but most of the time it's getting on your shop floor and implementing change. We're change agents. So sometimes we need to educate. Sometimes those individuals only need education, but many times they need us to come in, get on the shop floor, help move things around, identify some problems, create some potential solutions with their team, and actually implement some of that change over the next 6 months, 12 months, or 2 days. It just really depends on what we're talking about and how we're trying to get some of those impacts across. So the real reason why I was invited to come and talk to you today is really this CARES Act, which is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. Many of you know this CARES Act program through the Paycheck Protection Plan. There's SBA loans. There's various different benefits for the unemployed. But one of the things that many of you do not realize is that there is money set aside for the MEP program. So the CARES Act itself provided funding for the Advantage Kentucky Alliance, who is Kentucky's MEP, Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and it's really to restart Kentucky's economy. And we restart and we do everything through the manufacturing sector itself. So when we're talking about the funding that is coming to us, these are all, as John mentioned and as Jackie mentioned, all no-cost programs that we are able to offer to our clients. And how we're going about doing that is really in 4 categories. We're going to be doing that through assessments, supplier searches, what we're calling manufacturing showcase videos, educational workshops and webinars. So let's talk a little more in detail about each one of those. So many times when we have some type of a disruptor within the industry, we kind of get off our game. And sometimes getting off our game is a lack of quality or leadership programs, or maybe going through a lot of employees. So a lot of times assessments are necessary to go in and do an evaluation and compare what you are doing currently to what is best practices across the manufacturing sector. So as an example, we can come in and we have worked with many companies across the state of Kentucky in the last month and a half alone doing operational assessments. This is a holistic view, bird's eye view on your entire organization, going in through how robust is your supply chain, how robust is your quality program, how robust is your leadership, financials. Do you have some programs and processes in place to help you grow in a way that's meaningful for yourself? How are you identifying new opportunities? The operational assessment itself is typically a full day plus about a day off-site. The end result is a report that comes to yourself. It is a private report that is shared only with you and us. If you wanted to share with somebody else, that would be up to you. That is not our desire, nor is that our place to be able to do that. So all these assessments is something that is kept private. Even though we have federal funding to offset the costs, that doesn't necessarily mean that we share those assessments with anybody else. A financial assessment, this is a pretty robust program where we evaluate your last 5 quarters of financials. And again, many companies have us sign non-disclosures to ensure that content stays within the organization. Again, we want to do that, making sure that you're safe and comfortable sharing those financials with us. And we're not trying to find some type of an element where we're saying you're doing something wrong. That's not the purpose of these assessments. What these assessments are for is to help identify that Easter egg that we weren't quite ready for, we weren't quite sure about. And a little bit of tweaking here, a little bit of tweaking there, you might be able to have some bigger impacts. That financial scorecard is typically a couple hours. After a couple hours, there's normally about 6 to 8 hours of evaluation that's offline. And again, it's a report that can be done virtually or on site, depending on your desires. There's various different safety assessments coming in to help anything from safety egress to COVID and everything in between. Okay, so there's OSHA, there's all kinds of different elements that we as presidents, CEOs, and owners of companies need to ensure that our employees are safe. And part of making sure that they're safe is we need to understand what are the guidelines and rules to help us ensure that we have at least the right precautions to help us minimize any damage that could potentially happen. The whole COVID reopening and assessment from that standpoint, there's a lot of information going on about COVID-19. There's a lot of information about what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. A lot of it contradicts each other. So the fact of the matter is that we actually have a source that can come in and evaluate what you are currently doing for COVID-19 and compare what you're doing with what is within the guidelines, the rules, and not just our governor, but also the White House and everything in between helps us understand what we should or shouldn't be doing. And it's not that we're going to come in and change anything for you. We are just going to try to identify what are your steps for potentially reopening or re-enlisting or opening up to visitors even. There's a lot of different aspects of COVID-19 that are unsure. And a lot of things that people just don't quite know about because there's so much, well, there's too much information. Too much information means that there's uncertainty of what we should or shouldn't be doing. Maintenance assessments. Most manufacturers have some form of equipment that requires a maintenance. It could be high-low. Most of the time it's CNC, it's converters, it's machinery that moves. Anytime you have any type of a mechanical aspect that moves, you should have some form of maintenance that is hopefully scheduled, but in most cases it's not. In most cases, when something falls apart, that's when we're down, we fix it, and get us back up as soon as possible. We actually can do a maintenance assessment on what you should be maintaining, what is potential elements, what you should actually have some type of a schedule around, and actually help you put some of those schedules in place so those aha moments don't happen to you. Those gotcha moments don't happen because we're pre-planning, we're being a little proactive. That maintenance assessment is actually normally 2 days. 2 days that are on site, depending on the size of your organization. It depends on the complexity. It depends on how many work cells and what's involved, okay? There's also a supply chain assessment. That supply chain assessment, it's an evaluation of your supply chain. It's an evaluation of making sure that it's robust from the standpoint of how likely are they to go down. If they go down, is it a one source type of solution where if they do go down, you have no means of maintaining your operations because you're missing that one widget that's going to help put together your componentry. You know, so a supply chain assessment evaluates your your supply chain. It helps you identify where there's some potential holes, where you might want to put some more time and efforts into it. I mean, the fact of the matter is there's many different types of assessments we do, and these are just a handful of them. The fact is that these assessments are not meant to show you anything other than potential problems that you're having, mainly because your activities, your focus over the last few months, possibly longer than that, has been in areas that have well required your attention because you're fighting fires. You know, so sometimes some of those aspects that get dropped, fall between the cracks, are something that can bubble up through a simple assessment. These assessments, any of them run anywhere from 2 hours to 2 full days, plus normally some type of a report out. The assessments are always no cost at this point because the COVID CARES Act is actually carrying that cost for us. It's a report that goes directly to yourself. It's a report that we sit down with you, or at least have a virtual discussion with you to help you understand why the different elements are being graded the way they are. We are taking your current situation. We are comparing that to other organizations that are in similar situations, and we are trying to bring some of those best practices to yourself. It is completely and totally up to you if you take it or leave it. You can go through an assessment and disagree with all of it. That is your discretion. And obviously we will disagree with that, but the fact of the matter is an assessment is just that. It's an assessment of your operations, something you are doing, and it's something that we're trying to bring some help to. Obviously, if there's some implementation assistance needed on top of that, there's other different grants that can help with some of those different elements as well, just not through the CARES Act. That's probably the most sought after assessment aspect activities that we are currently doing. Is we're doing about 70 searches. We're doing about 80 of these assessments at minimum. We've already done about half. We've done about 40 of these assessments to date. We are running these at least through the end of the year, but we believe it's going to be going through probably the first 2 quarters of next year. The second element is the supplier searches. This started off, if you remember, about 3 months ago, where everybody was talking about this PPE and, oh my goodness, where we're going to get it all. And there's breakdowns in everybody's supply chains. And even right now, there are breakdowns in a lot of supply chains where, well, the economy is not up full scale yet. We're hoping it's going to get there, but it's just not there yet. And because you have all these different organizations that are having a hard time fulfilling their orders, that means that everybody's supply chains have been slowed down. This no-cost supplier search is a search that we'll go through. We'll base it off of NAICS code, NAICS codes, which is basically a number that the Department of Commerce gives every organization within the United States of America that helps identify what type of an organization you are. And we will go out and we will help you identify paper only, Kentucky only, supply activities and suppliers that you could actually take advantage of. So as an example, let's say that you were a CNC shop, and let's say that you had a need for, actually, I don't think you're seeing me right now. So let's say you actually have a need for a specific tailored machine screw. And right now your supplier might be in California or China. I am fairly certain that we can find a supplier for you in the state of Kentucky that can help you fulfill that need. Either way, though, we could actually do a search to help you identify Kentucky-based suppliers that can help you with your supply chain. It could also be, in stretching a little bit, we've had several companies that said, you know what, I don't have a problem with my supply chain. I have a problem with new customers. I know who those new customers should be, but I don't know how to get a hold of them. So this supply search can also be customized to identify customers for you to reach out to and call on and hopefully start a relationship with them. So that could very well be you want to have a list of all the machine shops that are in central Kentucky. This isn't just a list that of names of the companies. This would be the name of the company, their address, their full contact, a phone number, and if we have it, an email. Okay, so in some cases we don't have all that information, but if we have it, it's going to be given to you in a report that is, again, for you to do whatever you would like to do. You can target different markets, different industries, different companies. It's really a no-cost search. You give us the parameters, and we'll do a search on your behalf in the state of Kentucky. Sometimes we are able to expand a little outside of Kentucky depending on what you're looking for. And that is a pretty powerful program that we're doing about 70 of those between now and the end of the year. And again, I believe we're going to be stretching that out through first or second quarter of 2021. Probably the thing that I'm most excited about is what we call the manufacturing showcase, though. So I'm sure you've seen the videos of somebody who did a video. It's normally a minute, 2-minute clip of a company. It's showcasing their capabilities in some way. It's a video that's showing them walking through the facility. It's telling people why they should care about that company. This is something that we are providing through the CARES Act. The reason why we are providing these manufacturing showcases is we're building a library of manufacturers in the state of Kentucky. So this is something that will be going on AKA's website. It is something that's going to be pushed out through our various different partners because we want to spread the word about who you are. So this can be promotion about who you are as a company or a business. It can help. It could be a video that helps you engage in customers. It could be expansion of markets, business development. It's going to help you reach people. We have one. They have a bad reputation in their community. They're not quite sure why, but we did a video to help them identify why the community should care more about them as a company. We had another one that was a promotion about their employees, and you know, they're trying to hire, I think it's like 150 employees over the next 8 months. You know, good luck with that right now, folks. You know, but the showcase itself typically is about 4 hours of on-site. It's obviously shooting video. We actually have a professional video crew that comes in. He's also providing not just the video, but also photographs, up to, I think it's about 12 photographs. Nothing goes beyond that until it is complete, until it's signed off by the company. In other words, the video itself is about 4 hours of footage. We're going to skinny that down to about 2, 3, 4 minutes, depending on what's the necessary elements of what we're trying to showcase. And until we actually get a sign off from the owner, the president, or the CEO of the company, it stays between us. Once it's released, we put it out through social media, we send it out to the partners, we give a copy of that to the company then can do with it whatever they want. We do retain the rights because, again, this is to create a manufacturing library across Kentucky. So that is a pretty powerful tool. We're going to be doing about 40 of those. We've done about half. We've done about 20 of those so far to date. And again, we believe with the funding that we have available, we're going to be doing many, many more of those in the first couple quarters of next year. The last element is webinars and seminars. So we're going to be putting a schedule of about every other week of educational topics. A lot of times webinars are really selling tools. That's not the purpose of what these webinars are going to be. This is going to be educational. This is going to be saying, as an example, why you should have a leadership program in place, as an example. And if you don't, these are the repercussions for not having it. Do you do 5S? How clean and tidy is your facility? If you don't, these are some repercussions for not having it. How you link into international individuals and how you bring them into the fold and expand your horizons internationally speaking through Expertech or other exporting programs. So again, these educational and bi-weekly engagements are supposed to be helping us better understand what we can do to get better. So kind of wrapping up, got a few things I want to talk about just kind of quickly. So, our relationship with GLI and the Advanced Manufacturing Logistics Network is relatively new, but that doesn't mean we're new to Louisville. We actually have partners that we've been interacting with for years in Louisville, and we have many, many clients that interact with us on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis. We're part of what they call the Raytheon Protege program. They leverage us as their training force across Kentucky. We've interacted with Creative Packaging. We've interacted with Thermix, Thermotron, Jones Plastics. They have a couple facilities in Kentucky, feeds with Interlogistics, as well as feeds up in the northern part of the state. We've done various different elements with each one of these companies. I do have a couple of success stories and testimonials in the next slide here, but our mode of communication is that unless we have permission from a client stating exactly that we can actually divulge something, we have the power to say we've interacted with Beneke Wire as an example, or Fishbot, but we're not going to tell anybody what we did with them because that's most likely personal. So just as an example, some testimonials. Paper Cone, which is in Louisville there. Bill Warren, which I know is no longer with Paper Cone. He retired a couple of years ago. But we've been interacting with Paper Cone for, well, we've been in business for about 8 years. We replaced another organization that was about 10 years prior to that. So I'm saying probably close to 15 years now. We've been having ongoing interactions with them, Kaizen events, and we've been having impacts with them nonstop. With Mix Corporation, I saw that we had Ann Steinbach, who is an ex-board member of the Advantage Kentucky Alliance. So we actually worked with them a few years ago to help them augment their existing system for bringing some more robust processes around their new product development, creating some new unique ideas. We actually have Creative Packaging, where we worked with them to actually help implement some change for some quality programming. And we worked with Kevin Lyons as well as Jim Lyons to help implement that quality system. And when I say implementation, soup to nuts. It's the idea of going through, and we start off typically with educational workshops, but we get very quickly, roll up our sleeves, get down and dirty, get on the shop floor, and we really truly want to make a difference, helping everybody understand how it's going to be sustainable, which is really what we're trying to do. So I think we're running a few minutes early, John, but the fact of the matter is we are here to help you. So my name is Scott Broughton, Center Director for the Advantage Kentucky Alliance. I believe we have actually one of the participants is Dwight Butler. He is our Client Service Manager for the Louisville region in Central Kentucky. You can see his contact information below mine. Some of you are in the northern part, or what I would consider the northern part of our region. Bill Rouse is our Northern Kentucky Client Service Manager. You can see his information there as well. So I am going to stop sharing now. And John, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Scott. A lot of great information there. I'll encourage everybody. I think we've got a question or two in the chat feature, but as we get going here, please don't be shy. Feel free to post any questions you might have in the chat function, and we'll get them out there. So Scott, if you don't mind, let's start off. Obviously, we're talking a lot about manufacturing right now. In today's reality, a lot of industries kind of overlap. And so I'm just curious if you could talk just for a minute about maybe some of the other industries that you work with and what those supports and outcomes look like as well.
Sure. So our federal funder, again, is National Institute of Standards and Technology. And what they do is they give us funding to really focus on the manufacturing sector. But everybody knows that there's a whole array of support centers around those manufacturers that we also interact with. The logistics, technologies, there's call centers, there are other different elements. We worked with city government, City of Henderson. We worked with the Berea College. So if you look at it from the standpoint of if you actually have multiple employees, if you actually have different systems in place, if you are worried about making sure that whatever your product is, whether that's a service or a physical, tangible something, you probably have a need for a quality program, as an example. That is something that we interact with, and we actually have specialists in the field that actually help with just doing just that. So it could be food industry, it could be logistics, it could very well be service and call centers. We get involved in medical and hospitals to a certain extent. There's a lot of different elements we get into. We're probably never going to be working with with the corner Dairy Queen, okay? But we could be working with Dairy Queen corporate. We worked with Yum Foods in the past. We've worked with companies that actually work and have structures in place and systems in place to allow everybody to be profitable and sustainable.
Scott, could you talk, you mentioned, your team, and I know we've had conversations just about the breadth of private sector industry knowledge that they bring and how valued and sought after these types of consulting relationships are. Could you talk just for a minute about your team, the experience that they bring to the table?
Sure. So my team, which makes up about 20 plus individuals, I typically have either pulled them out of industry or I've pulled them out of retirement. I am, as I call myself, the young pup in my family. I've only been doing this for about 30 years. Okay, most of my individuals are ex-plant managers, production managers, quality managers, sales professionals. These are not individuals that have less than about 30 years of experience. And they are from industry. They are not professors. They are not individuals that are comfortable getting in front of a room and teaching in a teaching environment, unless it's on a shop floor and you makeshift something where you're projecting up against the wall. They're fine with that. But these are guys that, well, just like you do training and education workshops because people need to be educated. They need to know something before you can start implementing change. They need to understand why. My guys are the same way. They want to get through the why as quickly as possible because they want to get on your shop floor and they want to see, let me rephrase that. They are forced by myself to actually have impacts. Impacts come from real change on real shop floors, moving things around, helping people understand the why and how come and how often this is going to happen. So when we are helping somebody from a maintenance standpoint, we want to do that assessment. Okay, but that would be a stage one, step one. We really want to get on and make sure you actually have some type of a maintenance program. And if you don't, we want to help you implement a maintenance program. We want to help you understand what type of maintenance program you should need for those various different pieces of equipment. From a continuous improvement or lean manufacturing standpoint. In your garage, if you walk in your garage, and you want a tool that's on the bench at the very back corner, you have to weave your way through all the junk that's in your garage, well, that's going to take you extra time. Seconds count in the manufacturing sector. Seconds count because that's where your margins are getting eroded. So when we're talking about lean or Toyota prediction system or lean manufacturing, whatever you want to call it, looking at your existing systems, we want to make sure you're running as efficient as possible. First and foremost, we need to not just evaluate what you're doing, but we need to help educate your team on first of all, why they're doing what they're doing, help them understand there may be a better way, but we want them to come to us with some ideas and then we help them implement some of that change. So the team we bring to the table are people that are used to doing that. They're used to working with 3-4 companies any given week. They thrive on the multitasking. They thrive on the complexities. And that's the reason why they're working with us is because they don't want to go to one place and work at one facility. They want the challenge of going to different facilities with all kinds of old moments happening.
Scott, obviously our greater Louisville area here is a bi-state region. Some of our members have operations in Indiana, Kentucky, and at times many other states. I know we've talked about this a little bit, but I'm curious if you could share with our audience here today how you work and how you coordinate with other MEP state affiliates, but most specifically for this conversation with the MEP office in Southern Indiana.
Sure. So Southern Indiana is Purdue University. Dave Snow is the Senate Director. He's my counterpart in up there in Indianapolis. We have agreements with all the centers that touch our region, which is the state of Kentucky. So as an example, we have one client that actually, they have a facility in Louisville, they have one in Florence, they have one up in Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio happens to be the headquarters. The other are subsets. So we actually are working with the Ohio MEP. So we have some joint training and as well as education. So in some cases, our team is going up to the Dayton facility to help them. In some cases, they're coming down to our facilities. But really, from your standpoint, there's a nice, strong partnership with all the centers, because we want to make sure that whatever training is goes across the board. So as an example, I did see the question there about Southern Indiana. We do work in Southern Indiana, but we don't just walk in and knock on your door. We coordinate that with the Purdue University MEP, because just like if they're in our state, we give them the common courtesy of letting them know, and we want to make sure we're partnering in a way that's beneficial for you. It's all for you, you know. So the other element about that is you got to remember that the programs that you can get through our center, most cases you can get that exact same program through most of the other centers. Our center has been certified to be our MEP. That certification came through Washington, D.C., and Indiana, the Ohio, Tennessee, Arkansas, all those other MEPs, they went through the same training that our guys did. We might tweak it a little bit to make sure that it's customizable and works for us, but that foundation is still going to be there. So we hold hands quite strongly, and it's not even preferred. It is the way we do it when we are interacting across the borders.
Scott, you talked a little bit about kind of your outcomes and how you work with companies. It's probably one of the things I like most about your model is that you do truly base your success on the company's success. And many times that's self-reported in terms of operational efficiencies, financial indicators, return on investment of the work that you collaborate with. Could you share a little bit more about what commitments or obligations that AKA requires or expects from companies when you are partnering on some of these projects?
Sure. So we are federally funded. We don't get any state funding. Okay. So our federal funding is based on two main elements. First and foremost is that we are abiding by the strategies that the National Institute of Standards and Technology is giving all centers, and we do that. We do that a little differently than the other centers. All centers are a little different. We're able to customize it to what our state needs. The other element is that quarterly we get for lack of better words, a report card. That report card is based off of a survey that NIST, again, that's our federal funder, they hire a third party. That third party reaches out to our clients directly and asks them to answer some questions. About 13 questions. It's things such as, did you grow your business? By how much? Did you hire anybody? In direct relation to the work you did with the Advantage Kentucky Alliance, and how many? I would argue that it's a mandatory survey because it's important for me, but in all frankness, it's not mandatory. You could ignore it. That would mean if enough people ignored it, I would go out of business, but that's not your problem. That's my problem. Okay, so the fact is those surveys, you are asked to perform a NIST survey. You can only do it once a year by federal law. It normally takes about 15 minutes of time with our help. We normally help you because a lot of the questions are kind of convoluted. Outside of that, we typically, a lot of the work we do, there's state grants to help offset some of those costs. A lot of times those state grants do have some requirements because they involve some reimbursement, whether you have interaction direct with Bluegrass State Skills as an example, or you're going through one of those Bluegrass State Skills consortiums that we have multiple friends to have those consortiums. You have sign-in sheets, so when you get funding through the state of Kentucky, they require you to keep track of various different elements. One of those things they keep track of is who's going through that training, how often, how many hours, and we keep track of that for you. But what that basically means is when we walk in to do an interaction, we'll put a piece of paper on the table that says, I need you to sign this. I need you to put your name down over here. So outside of that, requirement for filling out sign sheets, outside of, depending on your point of view, that survey, which is extremely important to us to maintain our funding. Again, we don't get any other state funding that helps offset our costs to make sure that you can afford us. There are no other requirements. We actually do a good job with partnering with many of the connectors that you already interact with in your region, such as John. Those are, and I won't say they're requirements because they're really not. You could ignore them all. That might make me not really want to work with you in the future, but that's irrelevant.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, as we start to kind of wrap up here, I want to talk just for a minute. I know, as you referenced, right, you're housed within Western Kentucky University. The Indiana affiliate is located within Purdue. So obviously, there's a close university or higher education relationship. Could you talk a little bit about maybe even beyond, WKU? How are you leveraging the research and innovation work and capacities of the universities throughout Kentucky?
So one of the best known secrets is that universities, they don't just teach people, okay? Many of them have businesses within those universities that they are actively always looking to leverage those business units within the manufacturing sector, and they're always looking for individuals that want to interact with those universities in some way, okay? So we have connected, a lot of times it's co-ops and internships and such like that, like through Northern Kentucky University. We have connected with the University of Louisville, the Speed School, with engineering help and FDM and printing. Through Western Kentucky University, we have interacted with their graphics as well as some of their design capabilities and engineering. There's a lot of other capabilities and technologies that there are solutions out there within university systems. And part of our job is to, first of all, identify what are some of your problems and then look on your behalf in the various different elements to help connect you with some of those solutions. So as a great example, you may not have known about the MEP before today, but you might have heard of these things called NIST labs, NIST, N-I-S-T labs. These are labs that are in Washington, D.C. that are hundreds of millions of dollars that they are solving the world's problems. We have access to those labs. If you are fortunate enough to be able to have some type of a problem within your organization that we can link up to one of those NIST labs, they will bring tens of millions of dollars of assistance to you for no cost in most cases. But you don't know about those simply because we don't know about your problems. So when you have some of these technologies you're looking for, you actually have you have this process flow and it's going, and all of a sudden you have this bottleneck that you just can't resolve. A lot of times there's solutions within this lab or other universities that we can bring some of those resources to you. But again, it starts off with a phone call to us to help introduce us, help you understand what are some of the capabilities we have. And those are just a few options. Again, 51 centers across America, a third of us being one of them, Kentucky, is through universities. So that means you actually have access to hundreds of universities across America, and they all have programs that they really would love to talk with you as well. And that's a lot of what we're trying to do is, we want to, it's not just being a sounding board, it's not just trying to be a bridge between those universities, because if we just connect with those universities and walk away, that doesn't really help anybody. We want to stay and make sure that we're going to be managing that project to ensure that you're getting what you need. Just start off with a specific problem you had, and either they're resolving that problem or not. If they're not, we want to find you a different university. So that's the other part about that. So John, I know that's a little more expanded beyond what you were asked for, but hopefully that answers your question then some.
No, that was actually an awesome answer. I know we've talked a little bit about this, but yeah, that's a great point. Just that the MEP network as a whole provides a reach into national university settings that maybe aren't as easy to access sitting in one state or another. So great insight there. The last question that I'll ask before we start to close it up is related to potential interested companies what is kind of that first step in assessing whether or not, they could be included in a potential partnership with AKA? What would be your recommendation if somebody's interested and just want to begin that process?
So all relationships start with that is an introductory meeting. Okay, so you can reach out to me directly. I will share with you, John, the PowerPoint or a PDF that you can share with everybody on the phone so they have that information as well. But it's really just that. It's us coming in, and if you want to do this virtually, or we can come in and following all proper COVID precautions, face masks, and all that kind of good stuff like that. But it's an introductory meeting. It would be with, for the most part, Dwight Butler would be the person you're going to be interacting with in most Louisville. I am obviously accessible to yourself. We have Bill Rouse in the northern part of your region as well. But that's the first step. Once we introduce ourselves to you, you better understand what are some of the things that are keeping you up at night. And even if nothing is keeping you up at night, you just wanted to get to know us a little bit better. Regarding qualifications for the CARES Act, those no-cost assessments, those no-cost supplier searches, those no-cost manufacturing showcases, if you are a manufacturer in the state of Kentucky, you are qualified. It is that simple. Okay, if you are a manufacturer and you have a manufacturing NICS code in the state of Kentucky, you actually have the capability of participating. And that first step with any of those, and I see Dwight's face on part of the screen right now, but that first step is reaching out to us and scheduling a time for us to have a virtual phone call, an audio phone call, or preferably from our standpoint, for us to come in and visit with you. I put on 50,000 plus miles in my car annually. It's part of what I do. Dwight, probably not as many as I do, but we are, as they call us, we are definitely road champs, right? So part of our job is to cover the entire state of Kentucky. I don't particularly care if you're in Paducah, Pikeville, or Harris. Doesn't matter. We want to come and visit you and make sure you get the resources necessary for you to be sustainable and grow in a way that's meaningful to yourself.
Right. Well, before I turn it over to Derek, Dwight, you got any last comments or anything you'd like to make?
John, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be working with AKA, and it's certainly a strange time that we're all going through, and a lot of what we can do to help can very much be beneficial. So these CARE Act services are a great way to get started. So looking forward to helping anyone who needs it.
Great. Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, Scott. I know Elizabeth Keenan's also on the call. Want to just quickly say thanks for all her support, coordinating and promoting the event. And with that, hey, Elizabeth, with that, I'll turn it over to Derek, our chair of AML, to close us out.
I'd like to again thank Scott and Advantage Kentucky Alliance for partnering with the AML and with the GLI in an effort to keep the greater Louisville region a diverse and thriving market in the manufacturing sector. Today was awesome. Thank you so much, Scott.
Really do appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're extremely lucky to have partners such as AKA working tirelessly to impact the industry and our economy by helping companies become more globally competitive, to increase production and create jobs. So again, thank you for all you do. And big thanks to Jackie Morales and Morales Group staffing for sponsoring today's Collective Conversation series. We truly appreciate your support. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
For our many members and our guests today, we hope that this conversation was enlightening and that you will allow us to connect you directly with AKA to assess how your company can benefit from a variety of service offerings. If you're not currently an AML member, we'd love to have you and welcome the opportunity to share more about our efforts and the associated benefits to your company and to the region. We appreciate everyone's time. We look forward to seeing you at our next event. That being said, thank you again, everyone, and have an awesome day.